Oh, there we are. Hello, everyone. Oh, it's a little too dark. Okay, I think I got everything adjusted. Uh, Welcome to this live stream. I'm going to see how many people are joining. Let's go on the YouTube. All right, cool. Getting some people to join. It's awesome. Okay, I'm going to adjust some things. Bear with me. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to adjust my monitor. Okay, that is so weird. Okay. Guess I'll just start right now. I'm already a couple minutes late. So, yeah, I just want to talk about the Empire being a bunch of POSs, especially the way they treat their own citizens. It's very despicable. So, when you play Skyrim, you have the Thalmor walking another person, a prisoner, somewhere, right? Well, guess what? What's interesting is that they don't take those prisoners to the local authorities. They don't take them to the Imperial authorities, right? They most likely take them to Northwatch. And you're thinking, where's Northwatch? Well, it's literally located, I guess, if you look at the game map, I believe it's like northwest of Solitude. So Northwatch is right there, and that's where they torture Imperial citizens. Now, I'm trying to think of the name of that one. I'm trying to think of the name of that quest. Oh, guys, hold on. I gotta adjust something really quick. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, let's see here. What is this? Why is it doing that? Or something wrong with my monitor. Don't know why it's acting all weird. Let's see here. Okay. If I choose that. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So, you guys, okay, where was I? I was talking about Northwatch. So yeah, you guys play Skyrim. You go to Northwatch, and you see the prisoners that are held there. Right, those are all Imperial citizens being held by the Dalmor. And you're wondering, well, what's interesting is why is a foreign entity inside Skyrim, at least in Western Skyrim, because Western Skyrim is still loyal to the Empire, and Skyrim has a civil war. And what's interesting is that it's not just a civil war technically within Skyrim; it's technically a civil war within the Empire, technically, because the people of Cyrodiil technically could also rise up and try to support Talos worship as well. But the people living in Cyrodiil, I guess they simply just accepted their fate, and they decided that they'll just be loyal to the new theological nonsense that the Empire has decided to enforce. And so that's basically what the people of Cyrodiil want, I guess. They just want to be harassed and arrested. So, like, I guess they're but the people of Skyrim are not like that. They're more rebellious. So not rebellious. They're just more tough, you could say, and they are great warriors. But that's not the only thing, too. Like the people of Skyrim, they have a great ancient history that goes back thousands and thousands of years, and they at once had their own empire too, the Nordic Empire. But I'm not going to talk about all that right now. Um, uh, I would like to talk about mostly about the immediate, the presence when you play the game. Like the pro Imperial side would always claim that like the empire is what's protecting the Skyrim from the Thalmor, or they're keeping the Dominion out of Skyrim. Really, like you seriously believe that? If you play the game, right, you truly believe, like you're pro Imperial, and you truly believe that the Empire is what's keeping the Dominion out of Skyrim. Like, have you not played the game? Have you not played the game? Like, how can you actually believe or claim that? Um, uh, Basically, that's totally not true at all. The Empire is not keeping the Dominion out of Skyrim. The Empire is basically creating for the Dominion inside Skyrim so that they may know what are the weak spots, where to attack. So, yeah, don't give me this BS. If you play the game and you still think that the Empire is what's keeping the Dominion out of Skyrim, give me a break. Well, you may wonder why. Well, explain to me the Thalmor just this year's, right? Also, what's interesting is that, well, earlier I mentioned Northwatch, but there's another thing I'd like to mention. Why is there an embassy in Skyrim? A Thalmor embassy in Skyrim? It's an empire, right? So Skyrim by itself is not a fully independent entity, right? And so um, only the empire decides who are their allies, who they could have as guests, right? Well, diplomatic guests, right? And why is there an embassy inside Skyrim? You would think the logical thing to do would be to keep an embassy like closer to the border, between the Empire and the Dominion, right? You have an embassy right there, so you could talk. You could probably have an embassy in the capital because it's prestigious, right? And you're next to the Emperor, you could talk to the Emperor, right? If you're a Thalmor ambassador, and vice versa, right? There'll be an Imperial. I'm pretty sure there's an Imperial embassy probably in the Somerset Isles, but like, well, now Somerset Isles makes sense though because Somerset Isles, that's basically like the dominant nationality, the dominant nation of the Old Mary Dominion. So that kind of makes sense. But having an embassy all the way in Skyrim, not just in Skyrim, but northwest Skyrim, way up there. Why? Like so that like so that the Dalmor may kind of spread their spy network. That's why. Another purpose of embassies is to basically have a spy network. Like look at our real world, right? Now we're talking about a fictional video game, right? But it basically functions like a medieval era, or it's like a kind of half medieval, half ancient Roman type of era mixed with some Viking aesthetics, right? But but yeah, like why would you have an embassy way up there, way up there in Skyrim, right? But let's think about this, right? So you have the empire neglecting their own citizens, and I'll basically explain it pretty soon why. Uh, but like we have to understand that there was a war. The Imperials kind of were basically they recaptured their own capital, and then they make a peace terms with the elves. And one of those peace terms was, okay, we'll have peace, but only if you outlaw Talos worship, right? And of course, probably some other uh, concessions. But not only should you outlaw Talos worship, you will allow our justiciars to walk through your empire and arrest any imperial citizen who's worshiping Talos, right? Or probably just kill them on the spot, because every interaction you have with the Dalmor randomly walking by, uh, and they ask you, perhaps there's something you would like to confess. Well, yeah, like and like it's funny. It's funny that you say, yeah, like I believe in Talos. They try to kill you immediately, right? And and if you're lucky, you could free the prisoner that they are taken to prison. If you're not lucky, the prisoner gets killed. But I think it's just pretty interesting how someone could play Skyrim for such a long time and still be pro-imperial after watching the Dalmor just walk around in imperial territory and arrest imperial citizens. Now, that's part of the treaty, basically, right? So it's not just outlawing Talos worship. The Dalmor dictated dictated these terms, right? And so what's interesting, okay, fine, you have a foreign entity walking across, patrolling your empire. They're patrolling your empire, this foreign entity, and they're arresting citizens based on the treaty you signed. Okay, fine. But what's interesting is that they are not being locked away by local authorities. Like they're not capturing these people, right? The Balmore justiciars, they're capturing people, and they're not taking them to the local magistrates. They're not taking them to the local authorities. They're not taking them to the imperial authorities, right? They're not taking them anywhere where it would make sense. You could say, hey, by the way, this guy is disloyal to your emperor. He's worshiping Talos, because the emperor is the one who decided that Talos worship should be illegal. That was the emperor's decision. So I still don't understand how you'd be able to an emperor who basically disrespects the memory of Tiber Septim. But what's funny is that the pro-imperial players will claim that, oh, we're trying to preserve the empire because we're truly loyal to Tiber Septim's memory. We're trying to preserve Tiber Septim's legacy, right? He's Talos, and we're trying to fight for his legacy because he created the empire, and it's so disgraceful that the Stormcloaks are fighting against the empire created by Talos and they worship, right? Well, here's the thing: the Imperials are not worshiping him, or they're not allowed to worship him. They're not allowed to worship the founder. The Stormcloaks are basically not just trying to. The Stormcloaks are actually more loyal to the empire of Talos, to the empire of Tiber Septim, unlike the Imperials, who are only Imperials in name only. And of course, it is confusing in the game. Imperial simultaneously both a nationality, ethnic nationality, and it's also an ideology, right? So, like, you could be an ethnic Imperial but still be a pro Stormcloak, right? And you could be an ethnic Nord and be an Imperial. So it's weird, but yes. Anyways, you have foreign entities walking around your country arresting your own citizens, right? And also you do realize, like, these guys are literal spies. These justiciars walk around. You think they're just walking around looking for violations of the treaty just randomly? Like they're so benevolent. They're just trying to make sure that the treaty's being followed. Come on, give me a break. Those are spies. What else do you think they're doing? They're patrolling, like, and like you don't think basically there's no spying when you're patrolling? Come on, they're observing. They're looking at the mountain ranges. They're looking at the weak spots, right? They're trying to see which place is safer. How many like which areas infested with bandits. What's what's a great spot for military personnel to go through, and so forth, right? Who can they rob? Which part of the population can they trick or something, or which part of the population is kind of, okay with the 8 divines? Which one's more okay with the 9 divines, right? Like so many networking options for the Thalmor to consider when there are patrols or walk around all over Skyrim. Well, not all over Skyrim. Of course, in the game, you'll probably see some Justiciars probably walking around on the eastern parts, but I kind of haven't noticed that. I kind of really don't remember Downward Justiciars walking around Stormcloak territory. For some reason, I guess now you will see them in Whiterun, although Whiterun's supposed to be a neutral territory until you join a side. I don't know why. I don't know why. Like Imperial patrols just go through Whiterun. I don't know why Dalmor patrols go through Whiterun. It literally makes no sense. That was not supposed to happen. Basically, like until Whiterun chooses a side, that's not supposed to happen. I don't know why the game developers did not think about that. But going back to the Dalmor arresting people, right? What kind of sovereign nation does that, right? So, like, and I mentioned the spy network. So you have spy network Dalmor walking around, patrolling Skyrim, arresting Imperial citizens, and taking them to Northwatch. Why not take them to the local authorities? Also, let me look this up real quick. I believe one of the brothers of some family, like hold on, Northwatch. Let's see here. So you have to say one of the brothers of a Stormcloak, and with this mission, it doesn't matter if you eventually choose the Empire or Stormcloaks. The mission is still doable, and actually, I believe it's actually doable. I believe even post the Civil War campaign, I think you could still do that mission. But let me double check right here. Keep a mission. Let's see. Oh yes, Thorold Greymane. Yes, so Thorold Greymane. That's that's the name of that guy. So what's interesting, Thorold's mother, you see her having that conversation with the Battleborn. By the way, are disgusting at POS systems. So you basically have the Battleborn telling Thorold's mother, "Hey, you're crazy. We don't know where your son is," and she just has a feeling. She goes, "Oh, I know where my son is. Please tell me where he is," right? And they're telling her, "Oh, you're crazy. We don't know what you're talking about." But you sneak into the Battleborn's house, and you find they have correspondence with General Tullius. General Tullius basically kind of gives a hint to the Battleborns, "Hey guys, kind of hush, hush, kind of keep this down low, okay?" Right? Like, don't ask any more about Thorold Greymane, right? Now, here's what's interesting. The Stormcloak rebels, despite just being rebels, they're still citizens of the Empire from an imperial perspective. From a legal imperial perspective, they are citizens of the Empire. Therefore, when captured, they will be tried by imperial law, even if it's just a military tribunal, right? Especially a military tribunal would actually fit more former officers, by the way, former imperial officers who joined the Stormcloaks, right? They'll face a military tribunal conducted by imperial forces, not some foreign entity. And so any imperial citizen who is accused of worshiping Talos does not mean they're worshiping Talos. Maybe someone accused them, right? They still have to go to some kind of trial, right? There has to be some kind of evidence to prove that they're innocent or guilty, right? And these are imperial citizens who are being taken away by the Dalmor. They're not being taken away by the local authorities. Now, legally speaking, the local authorities are, if they're loyal to the Empire, they must be doing their own arrest as well. And so, what's interesting, why is it that Dalmor do not hand over the prisoners to the local authorities? Do you pro-Imperial players not find that, just by any chance? Why is Thorol the Greymane? Why is Thorol the Greymane being tortured by the Dalmor? Like, shouldn't Thorol the Greymane be questioned by Imperial forces? And I don't remember where Thorold was captured. I don't think the game explains where Thorold the Greymane was captured in battle, but he was in a battle. He surrendered. He got caught by the Imperials, most likely, I'm assuming. And so why is it a prisoner, an Imperial prisoner, who's also in the eyes of the justice system of the Empire, is still an Imperial citizen? Why is this citizen being handed over to the Thalmor? Because the Thalmor were really not in battle, right? Because if the Thalmor show up in battle aiding the Imperials against the Stormcloaks, that'll be too obvious, right? So Imperial players, explain to me, how is it that you have someone fighting against the Imperials, gets captured by the Imperials, but then gets transferred over to the High Elves, to the Thalmor in Northwatch. By the way, Northwatch is a military base. It's a military base by the Old Merry Dominion, right? Those are not just Thalmor soldiers. Those are Old Merry Dominion soldiers, right? Those are Old Merry Dominion soldiers. Oh, but the Empire is what's keeping the Dominion out of Skyrim. Are you serious? Like, how can you play the game and not realize, no, the Empire is not keeping the Dominion out of Skyrim? They're, like I mentioned earlier, they have their patrols spying and observing, doing whatever the heck they want. And I just mentioned they have a military base, Northwatch, a military base, and basically hidden from a lot of the Skyrim citizens. Why is it all the way to the northwest of Solitude? And what's interesting, General Tullius knows about this. He knows about the Northwatch. The Imperials, they know about it. They control that territory. Do you see any Stormcloak? Do you see any Dalmor embassies in the Stormcloak territories? Do you see any secret Dalmor bases in the Stormcloak territory? No. Let me check. What is Talos worship? Oh. Okay. Talos is one of the 9 divines in Skyrim. All right, now that I answered that question, answered that question for a friend. Okay, so anyways, Talos worship is basically outlawed by the Empire because a foreign entity demanded they do this because of some treaty they signed. And then the Empire claims that they're keeping the Dominion out of Skyrim. Are you serious? Like, do you seriously believe this? Like, do you not play the game? How can you play the game and not realize, wait a minute, there's something more to this, right? Like, how can you be even pro-Imperial, right? And then when you do the Northwatch quest, when you try to save Thorol the Greymane, like, it doesn't boggle your mind that you don't think about this. Wait a minute, who am I fighting for? What am I doing, right? Another argument that the pro-Imperials make, well, they'll say that it's not really enforced by the local authorities. Yeah, it might not be enforced, but on the books, it's legally written on paper that Talos worship is illegal, right? And then on top of that, the Empire also, or the Imperial Church, I guess, whatever they have, the 9 divines, well, 8 divines now, but the Imperial Church wrote the Talos mistake. Therefore, they had to change theology. So it's not just illegal by the imperial governments. The imperial church, they basically changed theology. Like they just decided to just like this on a whim change their own theology without discussing with other priests. Right? I'm pretty sure throughout the empire, not just in Skyrim, but in Cyrodiil and in High Rock, there were other priests who also would have questioned this immediate change. How do you change something without some kind of random council, right? You don't just declare it to be true, right? Like this isn't like the Vatican too. Yeah, right. And so you don't just declare something. You have to have some kind of religious council, right? So that makes it both illegal to worship Talos, and the empire, the imperial church, I guess. I don't know what it's actually called, but I guess the imperial church decided, yeah, Talos worship is a mistake. Yeah, so that's over with. Did you consult the other priests? Did they agree with this? Right? Yeah, and so yeah, it makes sense why this would cause a political stir, division. And what's interesting, it's not Ulfric who started the Civil War. It's the Empire who started the Civil War by agreeing to such terms. Like this was the plan of the Dalmor. The Dalmor, the elves, they say, you know what? Let's sow political division in this country, right? And the Empire just kind of goes, yeah, you know what? Like, let's just cave into this. Let's just cave into these terms, despite the fact that we're winning against the elves, right? Despite the fact that we're able to push them out of our capital, despite the fact that we're on the winning side, we're the ones who are supposed to dictate. They don't dictate. They submit to the terms of the elves who are actually losing the war. Now, you could argue and say, oh, the Empire is too weakened, right? Okay, explain the Red Guards continuing to fight the Thalmor independently. They fought the Empire independently without the help of the Empire. So, if the Red Guards could do it by themselves without Imperial assistance, so how is it that the Empire, with all their resources, with their huge armies that they had, was not able to just like continue the war with the Thalmor, or not dictate, or just not simply dictate their own terms? Because they've already proven that they could outmaneuver the elves strategically. So the elves have done a great surprise attack, but then the Empire, right? The Imperials, they've proven that they're able to eventually push back and fight back and win. So, like, it was never Ulfric. It was not Ulfric who started the Civil War. It was the Empire by agreeing to these terms. It did not happen overnight, but eventually, it would have triggered somebody. A person like Ulfric would be triggered, right? And here's the thing: Ulfric himself did not immediately start the Civil War. It took time for him to eventually rise up and say, "Okay, enough's enough," right? But still, I like to still focus on the neglect that the Imperials have for their own citizens, because you would think that like the Imperials, if they cared about their citizens, would at least demand that the Thalmor would hand them over to them. Like, fine, let's say they cave into everything. They allow the Thalmor to, for some reason, to casually patrol their own empire and to enforce the law, which is kind of weird. Imagine here in the United States. Just imagine, we barely win World War III, right? Let's assume World War III, right? But our enemies dictate the terms of the peace agreements, right? So, and so one of the conditions is for former enemies to have their military personnel patrolling our city streets and to enforcing whatever laws, right? It's silly, it's stupid, right? Like who does that in real life? Who do that in real, like no sane governments would agree to this, especially if you're on the winning side. But this happens, right? And people are taken to Northwatch Keep, a secret military base. How does this make any sense? How does this not like get through to you, pro-imperial players, that the Empire are the true puppets of the Thalmor? They're like, I don't want to use the puppets, but lapdogs. They are truly lapdogs of the Thalmor for sure. Like, how can you play a game and not come to this conclusion that the Imperials are the lapdogs? But like the pro-Imperial side focuses on one line in a dossier where it says Ulfric's an asset, right? But that does not mean he's an agent. Like Ulfric, now Ulfric's rebellion could be sponsored secretly through third parties, and there's actually a mission in the game. Let me look it up. High elves in Windhelm. So there is a high elf in Windhelm who works at the marketplace, and she sells weaponry. And then like she never really explains where her sources are for these weapons, right? And I believe like there's a mission. I've never played it, but apparently there's a mission with this high elf who could actually try to help her bring some more of her weapons. And turns out like there's a bunch of other high elves who look kind of almost Thalmor, like as if they could be Thalmor agents, and they're kind of bringing in weapons like through like this black market thing, right? And so it's possible that through the black markets, the high elves are supplying the Stormcloaks with weapons and with finances through parties. Because yes, it is true that the elves want a civil war in Skyrim to happen. But when you read the dossier, what does it say? They don't want any immediate victory. They don't want a war. They don't want a Stormcloak victory. They don't want that. The war to last as possible. Remember, these are high elves. They could live for 1,000 years. Like they could live to like 800, 900, 1,000 years. They could wait. They don't need an immediate victory. Like they want the Empire to be so weak so that they may eventually not just reconquer Syria. They'll go further into Skyrim, right? But here's the thing: Skyrim itself has to be really weak, because Skyrim itself was never conquered by the Empire. If you read the lore, Skyrim basically was kind of a co-founder of the Empire. They allowed Alicia's forces to enter Skyrim, right? They allowed Alicia to be their, or Alicia, not Alicia, sorry, Alicia. They allowed Alicia to be their empress. They agreed to that. They were never conquered by force, ever. Now, the Nords, they've conquered others by force, but they themselves were never conquered. They did, but they were never conquered. And when they're invaded, they're usually invaded by some kind of supernatural entities, the Kamal. But like they're never truly conquered by regular forces. They're never conquered by elves. They're never conquered by other humans. And and they're actually the ones who did the conquering. They're the ones who settled Skyrim. They took it away from the Snow Elves. They were outnumbered. They took over Skyrim from the Snow Elves while being outnumbered. Think about that. So if you think that Skyrim truly needs an empire, or if it needs that current empire under the Mead dynasty, don't be foolish. Like they don't need them. If the Red Guards by themselves, without any assistance, were able to defeat the Thalmor, and the Thalmor, they're part of the Aldmeri Dominion. The Aldmeri Dominion in itself is an empire, and they were losing to the Imperials, and then they lost to the Red Guards while themselves being an empire. You see, so numbers don't really mean much in this situation. It all goes down to strategy and tactics and planning and so forth, and politics. Like you and yeah, and so the Imperials, I still believe that they are truly the lapdogs of the Aldmeri Dominion, or lapdogs of the Dalmor, to be exact. Still waiting for some more chats. Pretty slow today. I'm going to take a little breather real quick. Okay. What else could I talk about? Well, regarding the Imperials being lapdogs, what else could I say that could convince you? I'm trying to think. So it's been, what, 37 minutes? Wow. 37 minutes talking about a video game topic. It's pretty cool, actually. So, yeah, I've been playing Skyrim since 2012. I was around when it came out. I'm still here, but I know little of Skyrim. Oh wow. Well, enjoy this lore. Enjoy this lore about Skyrim. Yeah, you're a gamer too, right? Yeah, you play video games. Like the reason why this topic is very controversial is because I guess since the Trump era, well, before the Trump era, like it was kind of there, but not really there. It's kind of, not so obvious. But the Trump era has kind of escalated this argument, and so a lot of people have been associating the Stormcloaks with the ALT dash rights, and it's a false association too, but people especially have shown their true colors politically. When I find time, okay. Well, you should definitely do Skyrim, and I know I might offend some people here, but whoever's going to watch later, because I kind of noticed that I get views on live streams like after I'm done. Like there will be people who watch them later, but like there will be folks who will probably be offended if I tell you this. But I recommend that you do. If you're a PC user, I do recommend that you get the anniversary edition, or I believe you could get the legendary edition for the PC. So yeah, like I believe if you have the legendary edition, that works pretty good with mods, and I believe that the anniversary edition kind of is not good with mods, or the anniversary edition is good with mods, but only if you download mods later after downloading the anniversary edition. But I've been playing it mostly on the PS4. So like eventually I'm gonna try to switch to PC. But yeah, PS4 is pretty cool. Just my PS4 is currently in storage because I had moved around a lot. But this topic about the Imperials and Stormcloaks, I own Anniversary Edition already, got it on sale, intending on playing it eventually. Okay, good. Yeah, you should definitely play it. But this topic about the Imperials and Stormcloaks. So the Trump era I got on PC. Very good. So the Trump era I guess I don't want to say Trump intentionally was dividing people, right? People themselves were the ones creating this division. But basically, for a long time, even before Trump, people have been spreading this theory, this video game theory that the Stormcloaks are a bunch of racists, and it's all based on this one interaction in the game where you enter the capital of Windhelm. Oh, sorry, the capital of the Stormcloaks. Well, a temporary capital because it's a civil war, so the rebels have their own capital, you could say. And so, many players have been uncomfortable with, I guess you could say, the racism of certain NPCs, right? And these NPCs, they're big fans of the Stormcloaks. Based on that, people have come to the conclusion that the Stormcloaks are racist, right? And then you have the Trump era. And so the Trump era comes along, and so this view is highly echoed or highly accelerated. And so people truly believe that the Stormcloaks are a racist faction without truly doing any game research. And when I say game research, I'm talking about just playing the game. like you just listen to the dialogues and read the books, read the texts. There are books inside the game that you could literally because Skyrim is so great, you could do basically kind of whatever you want in the game, and without doing any quests, you just read whatever books they have. They have lots of books, right? And there are some books you'll see in multiple locations that are the same, but they have so many books, and you can just open the books and just read. They have some very interesting stories inside those books, inside the game. So, yeah. And so, what's interesting is that Trump was accused of being a Russian agent because of some sort of Steele dossier, right? Well, what's interesting in the game, there's a dossier. There's a dossier in the game that the elves have written up, and it explains that they don't want either side to actually win the war. But first, it explains some information. It gives some information about the dragons. Then it gives information about Ulfric Stormcloak, the leader of the rebellion, and it says what a bit of ethnic self-preservation, skepticism of other people is natural and healthy for people. Okay, well, basically, there's a dossier on Ulfric explaining his characteristics, and there's a word that says asset. And so, a lot of the players who have been told, no, the Stormcloaks are not racist, right? So they cannot really debunk that argument. It's really hard to argue that the Stormcloaks are racist. I even made my previous Skyrim video. I made an argument explaining Stormcloaks are not racist in any way. But a lot of people, they kind of have a problem with this. They have a problem with this idea because they have a problem being debunked. People have a problem being debunked And so they're trying to find an excuse as to why Ulfric is a bad guy. So there's this dossier that says Ulfric's an assets. But then they stop right there at that line, and they don't read the rest of the paragraph where it says that they don't want either side to win. Like they explained that like they want the Stormcloaks to be supplied, but it's not because they Stormcloaks. Like they totally hate the Stormcloaks. They hate the Stormcloak cause, right? But they kind of need them in order to kind of have the Empire have a perpetual state of war on the inside. And so that's just very logical, right? It's not like, and plus, they say that they don't want an immediate victory. So they don't want the Imperials to win really quick. They don't want the Stormcloaks to win immediately either, because the Stormcloaks basically will still be strong enough to resist any other invasion. But the Imperials claim, oh, well, without us, you'll be invaded by the others. Failing to mention that the Red Guards were never invaded by they were invaded by the elves, but they were never conquered by the elves. They were able to push the elves back without the Empire. So the idea that the Empire is needed to protect all those individual provinces, that's all BS. And actually, I'll double check something. Someone's sending me a message. Okay. Okay. So, yes. So this dossier, it's kind of similar to like in our real world and in reality. Trump was running for president. Plus, many people who are pro Storm kind of would associate Trump with Ulfric, I guess, right? And then plus, how the whole Steele dossier was all BS, right? But people say, well, it's a dossier. Well, okay, it could be a forgery too, But it's not like a true, well observed documents, and yeah, but like so basically inside Skyrim, there's like I guess you could say the Skyrim version of Steele dossier is inside Skyrim, and people focus on this whole dossier like it proves he's an agent because it says assets. No, it just means that the elves want a continual war. Like it literally says that they don't want the war to end swiftly because um, here's the thing: the empire themselves will not be truly weakened. They'll be on resources, and they could be economically crippled, but militarily they could still be pretty strong by themselves too. I mean, like they already have their own capital territory, Cyrodiil, right? So it's kind of their version of Italy, right? Cyrodiil is kind of like Italy, but bigger in size too. Italy is a peninsula, Cyrodiil is mass. So you have Cyrodiil, and then Cyrodiil at this point already controls outside of its borders, controls only two provinces, Skyrim and High Rock. And Skyrim is in between the two. And so basically, if Skyrim is fully independent, well, the only way they could access taxpayer funds from High Rock would be basically sailing around across like the continent. And so the problem is that like some of the southern parts of the ocean are controlled by the High Elves, by the Thalmor, so they kind of have to go around a different route across the continent, and hopefully, nothing happens. But like, that's the best way to collect taxes from High Rock. But then, like High Rock itself has its own military as well on the inside. They could be inspired by Skyrim, and they could also do their own rebellion. But anyways, so the Thalmor. So like the Thalmor, they don't want a swift imperial victory because they don't want any swift victory. They want the Stormcloaks to win because when you think about it, right, the Empire is not really sending any reinforcements to Skyrim. Like General Toys, has a problem with the fact that it's that the Legion that's there that's been garrisoned there is the one that's there. But the thing is, some of the Stormcloak soldiers themselves used to be legionnaires. They used to be Imperial officers, right? And so the garrison, the legion that's located in Skyrim, they locally. So they had to train local people, and so they're not even relying on outside forces. So that like they're basically relying on themselves. What's interesting is that like logically, General Tullius, like he was smart. He requesting some of the generals in High Rock to send him some soldiers to help him reinforce the capital of Skyrim, which is called Solitude, and then while he could actually maneuver, use some cool tactics to take over Skyrim, whatever, right? But he's not doing that. He's just commanding the one legion that's in Skyrim, and he's recruiting locally. So if there is a Stormcloak victory, right? The Imperials are not at a loss necessarily because militarily they could be like, okay, cool. Well, we're not able to hold this province anymore. Well, too bad. Okay, well now we could focus. Now they could actually focus on their southern border, and that's the High Elves don't want. They don't want a quick Stormcloak victory because the Imperials could be like, oh, okay, oh crap, right? Dang it. Well, whatever. We got to now we really got to concentrate on the southern border, right? And yeah, and so and so in that sense, the empire will not be completely. They'll be weaker in a sense. Like they'll like lose like an entire legion inside Skyrim, but at the same time, they have multiple other legions inside Cyrodiil, and they could also recruit locals on the inside and train them, and eventually, if there is another war with the Thalmor, like I'm pretty sure other provinces will unite with Cyrodiil. So it's not like this. It's not like this huge problem if the Stormcloaks win, and that's what the pro-imperial players don't understand. This, right? So, anyways, going back to the political thing, you try to explain that the Stormcloaks are not racist, and the pro-imperials they just don't want to hear it, right? They'll make up all sorts of excuses, right? They'll and like I mentioned, they think that they need the empire to survive, which is not true. Um, but it's very common for pro-imperial players to be hyper liberal. Well, I just made that up, but just to be liberal, right? Usually if they're more liberal, left wing, they will play as the pro-imperial side, which is kind of ironic because the pro-imperial players, because their political views, they're leftists, they're lefties, right? So they're actually against real world imperialism. They're against colonies. They're against cultural appropriation. They're against colonization, right? They hate colonizers, right? And they constantly they will talk. They'll tell you how bad the Roman Empire was, how a bunch of white dudes were oppressing so many brown people, right? They'll tell you this, but then they'll play a video game, and they'll side with an empire which is oppressing other nationalities, other countries. And although in the video game lore, the empire already kind of barely controls two provinces, but they have controlled other provinces before, because the Red Guards in the video game, they're basically supposed to be black people, right? And so they're kind of a very interesting kind of. They're not just like kind of like Africans. They're kind of more like, I guess you could say Africans converted to Islam, like basically like an Arabic style African, or like a black Arab, basically, right? And so the Red Guards are kind of like these black Arabs who are not Muslim but kind of pagan, right? like yeah. So, anyways, so the pro-imperial players in our real world, in our reality, they'll tell you how bad colonization is, how bad colonization is. They'll tell you how bad imperialism is. and so how like only white people are colonizers, only white people are imperialists, right? But then they kind of join a whites controlled empire that colonized other nationalities. They're fighting for an empire that enslaved, well, not necessarily enslaved, but basically like enforces their will on other ethnic groups, right? And somehow like that's fine, right? Because empire is not racist apparently. Like think about this. Like so the Stormcloaks are this huge R word, right? Because of one interaction in the game. There's one interaction in the game where you meet a few racist NPCs, right? And these NPCs they support the Stormcloaks, right? Okay, but that's not the ideology. The Stormcloaks they recruit everybody into their army. They don't care what nationality they don't care what nationality you represent. Like you as a player could choose whatever race you want to play as, right? And you join the Stormcloaks. They just simply ask you, so why do you want to join us? And usually the answer is Skyrim is not home just Nords, right? And Galmar, general of the or the supreme general of the Stormcloak army, he says that's correct. It's not just home to Nords; it's home to other people who could also hate the Empire, right? Like he acknowledges that, and plus in the game, your character does ask the general. You ask him, "Wait, so you only recruit Nords?" And he goes, "No, we don't only recruit Nords, but I want to know why you as a dark elf would like to fight with Skyrim. Why you as a high elf? Why would you want to fight for Skyrim, right?" So like they're interested. They're just curious. What is it? Because the majority population of Skyrim, the majority native population of Skyrim is they're Nords. The Nords are the majority population of Skyrim. After this live stream, there'll be more people who will watch this, and some will comment and say, "Oh no, the snow elves, they're the natives, dude. Snow elves disappeared a long time ago. And if you follow the lore of the storyline, they disappeared a long time ago. Like all the natives are now Nords, right? and so yeah, and so the majority of the natives are Nords, and so that does not mean that there are Nords there, but majority are still Nords, and that's why Galmarch is curious. Okay, so like, are you like a native-born non-Nord, or are you a non-Nord who's coming from a different province, and you still want to fight for Skyrim? Because in the game, when you play the game, it doesn't really specify where you're actually from. Like you don't really know where you're from as a character. You build the character right in the very beginning. I'm not going to spoil the beginning opening for you, but like you should play that game ASAP too. It's totally fun. It's and of course in the game it's not just about Civil War. There's so many quests you can do in the game. Like and it's not even the main quest. The main quest is the Dragonborn quest where you're trying to defeat the great dragon Alduin. But yeah, but the Civil War quest, that's like the one that everyone loves to play, and you eventually choose a side, the Imperials or the Stormcloaks. And so these days, a lot of these people who might vote as Democrat or might vote left wing, they like to play the Imperials. They play as the oppressors because the oppressors in this game are not racist. You know, wow. And the rebels, because they have a few racist characters on their team, they're racist because of a few NPCs that are racist. It makes no sense. When you actually play the game, you'll see the Stormcloak decisions, because you have a High King, then you have the Jarls, right? Well, the Jarls who support the Stormcloaks, right? If you look at their government councils, like they're all like racially diverse. like literally. And when I say racially diverse, it's not like different humans. It's also elves. Like elves are advising the jarls. And you go to the Imperial side, and I'm not including Whiterun because Whiterun is basically starts off as neutral. But if you go to the Imperial side, they don't really have any elves. If you the capital, Solitude. Solitude is basically kind of. I love Solitude, right? It's supposed to be kind of like the Middle Ages, San Francisco slash Portland of the Middle Ages, but obviously since it's like kind of medieval era, it's not as degenerate as modern day Portland or San Francisco, but it's the capital, and of course it's more it's more artsy, it's more intellectual, um, and so what's interesting is that you go to the High Queen. Well, she's not really a High Queen, but like the Imperial treating her as she's the High Queen. So the High Queen of Skyrim, well, if you look at her government council, no elves, like literally. I think you might find like a Breton, but Bretons are still not really elves anymore, and they're like Bretons are like this thousands and thousands of years ago. If you follow the lore, um, a group of elves and some humans intermixed together, and they created a brand new race called the Bretons. So Bretons are basically humans who have elvish power. Like they're humans who learn magic quickly because regular humans they could learn magic, but it's just super hard for them. Elves, because they're elves, they could learn magic, no problem. So Bretons, they're like basically these humans who have this natural affinity for magic. They don't need to they learn magic quick. Plus, as a player in the game, that also affects your abilities, right? So if you're a Breton, you learn magic a lot quicker, and if you're a Nord, you learn magic a lot slower. But you can still learn. You can still get better and eventually become super powerful. You could be a super powerful mage as a Nord character, but um, you'd be just a lot slower than a Breton player or a Breton character. And so, uh, anyways, it's been about 1 hour, so um, like there's like no other. Uh, I guess I already explained what I explained within the first like 30 minutes as to why the Imperials are the lapdogs of the Dalmor, because the Dalmor they walk around. The Bretons are the Bretons are the Hispanics of the Skyrim universe. Hmm. Okay, so then who are so you're saying okay, so basically so you're saying that the Mayans and the Aztecs they were like the humans, the Spaniards were the the Spaniards were the magically gifted elves. Uh, that's a very interesting analogy. Friends or Hispanics, the Skyrim. Mm. Yeah. So yeah, the Aztecs and Mayans are the humans, and Spaniards are the high, or back if you back in times, they're not high elves or the Aelid elves, the Aelids. Yeah, yeah. There's something else I wanted to mention, like because I mentioned Northwatch, I mentioned like Thorol the Greymane being arrested. Um, like what else is out there? The treaty. I talked about the treaty. I explained all that. There's yeah, like there's like no reason uh for the pro imperial sides um to support the empire because Spanish had magic called God and Guns. Uh yep. So it makes sense. Yeah. So the Spaniards were the elves and the Aztecs and Mayans were the humans. But the difference is, here's the difference though. The Bretons were conceived purely out of free will, not forced domination. But then, of course, um, through time, the Spaniards, did not use force either. They eventually, would negotiate with the local chieftains, I guess, with the Aztecs and the Mayans, and within the Aztecs and the Mayans, and they would eventually marry their daughters, and then they would become relatives with the local royalty, I guess, and then yeah, and that's where the Hispanics come from. Yeah, so Bretons are the Hispanics, the Skyrim universe. Yeah. So yeah, so I covered Thorold, I covered Northwatch. I also want to explain like another reason why the Imperials are definitely not to be trusted. Because like the whole racism argument is just ridiculous, right? And what's interesting is the Trump era that kind of like escalated this whole thing. Like, yeah, like if you fight for the Stormcloaks, you're probably some kind of ALT dash right, which is definitely not true. Whoever knows me knows I'm an anarchist. So yeah, and what's interesting, the Stormcloak Rebellion is not anti-monarchy because they still support a monarchy. They support a high king. They're just against the corrupt empire, against the emperor. And you can still have a king and still be anti-imperialism as well. So, but okay, Thorold, Northwatch. I know I'm missing something. There's something else that I want to explain as to why the Stormcloaks are correct and the Imperials are the lapdogs. Well, because I explained that the Imperials are the lapdogs because they allow the Dalmor to just walk around their territory. Like imagine like we're winning against China. We're defeating China in the Pacific, right? Or imagine this. Imagine like hypothetically speaking, in Minecraft, China invades our territory, right? And then we push them back, right? And we push them back off our territory, and once they're off our territory, they ask for peace, right? They sue for peace, and then we still have the power, not just pushing back. We also have the power to kind of go into their territory and crush them in Minecraft, right? And so and so we don't do that. We just kind of agree to have peace with them. We're like, fine, like let's not go any further. Like we're tired, you're tired. Let's just kind of have peace, right? And so imagine the demand will be this. Okay, basically ban Christianity, right? Ban Christianity, and also not only should you ban Christianity, you should also have our patrols walking around town to town, right? And just kind of making sure that your citizens are following the treaty, that they're also not that they're not Christians, right? They'll be allowed to arrest Christians. And here's the thing: not only do they arrest Christians, but they don't take them to the local authorities. They take them to their own prisons, right? It's like, well, wait a minute, these are American citizens, right? They have to be inside an American court if they're lawbreakers, right? Like that's just preposterous, right? Like no government on earth in reality would do this, right? And but for some reason the pro-imperial players think it's normal for the empire to just kind of cave into some kind of peace treaty that allows the Dalmor to just walk around their territory arresting their citizens at will. But oh yeah, I also want to mention the fact, I remember what I want to talk about. I would like to mention the fact that when the Stormcloaks, like when they like arrest somebody, like it could be like it could also be a lie too. Like I believe there's a game. Yeah, there's a game where like there's a mission, there's a quest. I believe you could also kind of like uh, plant a necklace on somebody, and then like they get arrested, or I forgot what it was, but yeah, you actually had to do a mission for a Dalmor agent, and you had to steal this one person's necklace. You had to find evidence that this person is a Talos worshiper. Wait, are we talking about Protestants? No, I mean like just Christianity in general. Imagine the Chinese banning, demand that the U.S. bans all forms of Christianity, right? That'll be like outrageous, right? So, like, so it's equally outrageous as to the Dalmor or the Ordinary Dominion. They're losing the war with the Empire, and then they sue for peace. They make a demand that they immediately not just outlaw a certain religion, but change theology too, right? So they simultaneously have to change their theology, and they have to outlaw worshiping one of the deities. Or yeah, I phrased that wrong. Well, imagine they ban the worship of Christ. So they say, so the Chinese demand we we ban, that we don't it, but that we stop worship, right? Um, like basically that's absurd, right? Like they'll tell us, yeah, keep the Old Testament, but don't follow the New Testament. And that's kind of what's going on in the game too. So you kind of have the Old Testament, you have the 8 divines. Then the New Testament of their world is kind of the 9 divines. Talos becomes God, so now there's 9 instead of 8. And yeah, so yeah. But anyways, yeah. So there's a quest in the game. There's a mission in the game where you could actually find evidence that someone is a Talos worshiper, and you walk up to the Justiciar, to the Thalmor Justiciar, and you tell him, "Hey, look, I found this necklace, right?" And he thanks you. He rewards, good, good. Like he's like he has the power, and like here's the thing, like this random has the power to arrest an imperial citizen. This imperial citizen has rights, under the imperial law. He should be tried by at least by Skyrim courts, right? And on top of that, what's interesting, the Imperials are also very hypocritical. So, and the reason why I say they're hypocritical, because the Emperor says that yes, the Talos was a mistake. It's illegal to worship Talos. We're caving into this, and whatever, fine, right? So, if you are still loyal to the Emperor, right, you would also follow these orders. You would stop worshiping Talos. Now, many, well, not many in the game, but there are characters in the game who are secret Talos worshippers while being openly supportive of the Empire. And when I say openly supportive, they're not putting on a mask, right? They legitimately are pro-imperial, these NPC characters. And a lot of the players, they try to use this argument. They try to use the logic of these NPCs. They say, you see, like even this guy still close, basically, like we just have to unite together to defeat the Dalmor first. Well, no, like unite and defeat the Dalmor, right? It's basically the whole plan is for Talos worship to be. And also, here's the thing: if the Imperials truly want to unite and defeat the Thalmor eventually, why not just unban? Why not just undo the law? Why not unban it? So why not say, hey guys, yeah, we made a mistake. We're not supposed to ban Talos worship. We do not know what we're thinking. But look what this has done. Sorry guys. If the Empire simply would just say, yeah, Talos worship, it's legal again. We're so sorry. We apologize. The Skyrim rebellion will fall apart. Even if Ulfric does continue being stubborn at that point and will try to fight, Yeah, he's gonna lose because the Stormcloaks themselves would stop being Stormcloaks. They'll say, "Yeah, you know what? Like the Empire, like they're allowing us to worship. We can do whatever we want now. Yeah, we're back under the foot of the Empire, right?" And so Ulfric will have two choices: either to accept the pardon or to continue fighting, and he'll lose if he fights. But that's obviously not happening in the game. The Empire is not considering reversing their stupid laws, and they're not considering kicking out the Dalmor Justiciars, right? And so in the game, there's a certain character, an Imperial officer, right? She's also one of the main NPCs in the game, and she basically secretly worships Talos, right? Despite the fact that it's illegal, right? And so also she does secretly in a hushed tone says Talos guide you, right? She goes Talos guide you. Why did she say Talos guide you, right? Because she swore an oath support the Empire, and she's continuing to be loyal to the Empire by doing whatever they tell her. So why is she secretly worshiping Talos, right? And so this just shows the hypocrisy of the pro-imperial player, right? Um, like they're saying, yeah, yeah, it's not enforced, okay? Like yeah, it's not enforced maybe by local authorities, but the justiciars still enforce it, and the imperial soldiers don't do anything about it, right? It's because the Empire are a bunch of lapdogs. Uh, they're not necessarily puppets of the Dalmor, but they are their lapdogs. They're doing whatever the Dalmor want them to do. And also, what's interesting is that an imperial victory itself is not really a guarantee of victory for the Empire. Do you know why? Because eventually, you will have the secret Talos worshippers basically would eventually start to kind of wonder, wait, what have we done now? Also, when you play the game and when you play for the Empire, you can also sense there's a different mood in the game. Like, be honest, right? Even if you support the Empire, even if you support the Imperial side, like you have to be honest with yourself, right? Like it doesn't the victory just does not seem so great at the end. It kind of like kind of bittersweet, kind of. Yeah, you victory, you won, you start the rebellion, the Empire is united, but it just doesn't feel the same. There's something wrong about it. And of course, and what's interesting, by the way, the racism does not go away. It doesn't. It just kind of continues, and nothing's being done about it. So, and when I say racism, I mean like the certain NPCs and the certain living conditions of the Dark Elves don't change. They just remain the same, right? And the new leadership does not plan on changing the situation for the Dark Elves living in the ghetto. So, um, which again just shows that the Empire does not care about their citizens. They just care about the unity for the sake of unity, right? And so, yeah, but the Imperials are hypocrites for secretly worshiping Talos. It's the secret Talos worshippers that themselves who might start a new rebellion, because eventually they'll come to the realization, what have we done, you know, like because like technically you're supposed to be executed for following Talos, especially if you're a military person, right? So imagine this. So Legate Ricka, she is the Imperial officer. She's like the second in command of the Imperial forces in Skyrim. She's uh, also a local Nord, but she's been fighting for the Empire before, and um, she's a tells us from early saints like Saint George, Saint Longinus, who are loyal Roman legionnaires, but also early Christians. It's possible. Um, but anyways, uh, Legate Ricka, she is an Imperial officer, second command to General Tullius. General Tullius, he's not a Nord. He's not from Skyrim. He is from Cyrodiil. And so, Legate Ricka, she is secretly worshiping Talos, right? And so let's do a hypothetical scenario. So you are let's say, a pro-imperial player, you eventually, well, okay, I'll start over again. You are a pro-imperial player, and then hypothetically speaking, let's just assume some magic happens, and this reality disappears. You are transferred into the world of Skyrim. Skyrim becomes your new reality, right? It just all happens so fast, right? And you're also lucky. You're not an Imperial soldier who's just guarding some tower somewhere in Falkreath or somewhere, right? You're an actual officer in Solitude, and you're privileged as an officer to like eventually befriend Legate Ricca, right? And so here's the thing: if you are truly loyal to the Empire, right, and you're inside the Skyrim world, you're inside the Skyrim universe, like you get transferred, like your whole body, your mind, everything gets transferred into the Skyrim universe. Skyrim is your reality, and you're living your life in the game based on the way you play the game, right? And so you're thinking, this is pretty cool. Yeah, I can actually fight for the Empire now, for real, right? And so you're loyal to the Empire. You swore an oath to the Emperor. And you know that Legate Ricca is a secret Talos worshiper. You do know you have to report her to General Tullius, right? General Tullius most likely would have her executed. Or he might give her a warning, hey, stop this right now. And she could say, no, I can't really give it up, right? She could be arrested or arrested and executed, or just executed. Also, what's interesting, if you're loyal to the Empire, you would go to the Jarl of Markarth, and you would show him evidence that his steward, his advisor, is a secret Talos worshiper. He would have no choice but to have him arrested. This is a major scandal. A Jarl, basically a monarch loyal to the Empire, a monarch who's subject to the Emperor, has an advisor who's violating the law, an imperial law. That's a bad example for the citizens. So that's your duty. Like if you are out of this world, you're transferred into the world of Skyrim, and you're such a big Imperial fanboy or fangirl, your duty is to report those people. Because don't tell me you're pro-Empire. Don't tell me you support the Empire if you're not going to actually enforce the Imperial laws. Yeah, don't give me this BS. And by the way, if Skyrim was an actual place, I'm pretty sure that would happen. I'm pretty sure somebody would find evidence. If they would find evidence that Legate Ricca was a secret, that she was a secret Talos worshiper, somebody would report her. And by the way, when you play the game, when you're inside Castle Dower, you have Legate Ricca talking to General Tullius, and then there's another officer in the room. Usually there's 3 of them in the room, and there's another officer right there. Right? So like that officer could be opportunistic, and he might want to report her. He might not even tell General Tullius. He could write to some higher authorities, right? He could write to multiple authorities, right? And these multiple authorities could also not just Imperial authorities, right? This guy could write a secret letter to the Thalmor, saying, "But by the way, the Thalmor have their own like little condo or apartments, their own living accommodations inside Castle Dower." Castle Dower is supposed to be a military garrison, an Imperial military garrison inside Skyrim's capital, and they have Dalmor agents, Dalmor justiciars living there inside Castle Dower. You're not going to tell me you're not going to tell me they're not spying? Get out of here. But yes, that third officer in the room, he could literally like slip a note to the Dalmor justiciars and say, "Hey, I have evidence that Legate Ricka might be a secret house worshiper. Just saying." And like you try to get her arrested, and I take her spot. We'll be even, right? And he becomes second in command to General Tullius. General Tullius, here's the thing. He's so interested in keeping the peace, he would literally, like, if the Thalmor were to confront him, if Elenwen basically told Tullius, "Hey, Tullius, listen here, buddy. A treaty is a treaty. You declared an oath to your emperor, right? You're following the imperial rules. Obey them, right? Arrest Legate Ricka." And General Tullius, just for the sake of peace, would be like, "Well, Legate Ricka, nice knowing you, but like nothing I can do. My job is to keep the peace." And General Tullius, he's not that great of a general anyway. He's constantly talking about like going through Winterhold and try to attack Windhelm from north. Not a bad strategy. Not a bad strategy. You just need to figure out the tactics that one, because I explored that area. It's very, very possible for the Imperials to sneak in an army through that area and kind of cause a major distraction for Stormcloaks and to come in with some forces from the south and so General Tullius does not have bad ideas on strategy, but he's also the type of guy who is super, super loyal to the Empire. And so if he has to keep the peace by any means, he would. And he would definitely have no problem arresting Legate Ricka, throwing her in jail as a traitor, basically. And actually, Legate Ricka, okay, let's go further. Okay, yes. This is because I really had this in my mind, and like 2 hours ago, it just kind of went out of my head. But yeah, I've been talking again for about an hour and 30 minutes now. But yes, I like to also bring up the fact that Legate Ricka, she's a traitor to the Empire. Because how can you be loyal to the Empire and be a secret Talos worshiper? You're violating the law. If you're truly, 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 truly loyal to the Empire, you believe that the Imperials are the good guys, then guess what? You would totally not worship Talos. You would literally not allow this. You would destroy Talos shrines. Like you would definitely not be a Talos worshiper. Like so Legate Ricka, if she is truly loyal to the Empire, why is she violating the law? Why does she say, "Talos got you," in a hush tone, but she says it? Same thing applies to the other Jarls. Well, not the Jarls, but the Jarl Stewards, who also secretly worship Talos. So don't give me this crap. Don't give me this crap about the Empire's not enforcing it, but they have foreigners to enforce it, so it doesn't matter. And you just whisper to those foreigners, "Oh, by the way, that guy's a secret Talos worshiper." Yeah, so just letting you guys know, just that guy over there, yeah, he's a secret Talos worshiper. And what's interesting, that just this year's, like, evidence or no evidence, they hear that you're a Talos worshiper, they'll probably arrest you or they'll kill you. And they always because when you're playing the game, they always try to kill you for some reason if you confess to them that you're a Talos worshiper. But yeah, but more racism, man. Stormcloaks are racist, man. Give me a break. As if Nords and all other races in the game are all racist. And what's interesting is that the Dark Elves are like literally one of the most racist people out there. But because a certain group of Dark Elves is being persecuted, they're not even persecuted, by the way. They just live in the ghetto. They live in the ghetto, and their living conditions have not improved, right? And by the way, it had nothing to do with Ulfric. Ulfric was not even born yet, and the Dark Elves were already living in that ghetto. So it's not like Dark Elves can't just improve themselves, can't they? Like they should, right? But anyways, yeah. So any fan, like any pro-Imperial fan who claims that the Stormcloaks are wrong because they're destroying the empire founded by Talos, well, like like but aren't the Imperials destroying that same empire by banning his ship? You know, like aren't they like what was it not the ban on Talos worship that started the Skyrim rebellion, or it was what kind of like it was kind of like the last. It was like basically it was the final straw. That was the final straw, right? So yeah, that's where that was like the red line. That was the red line that was crossed. Like okay, like whatever. All these treaties, fine, but this part of the treaty right here, wait, banning Talos worship. Oh, this is crossing the red line right here. Nope, that's too far, right? And that's what happened. So yeah, it was basically the emperor is the one destroying the legacy of Talos by saying Talos should not be worshipped. So I don't understand how the Stormcloaks are fighting basically for Talos. And who knows if the Empire is so weak to control to control Skyrim, who's to say that the Stormcloaks can go further and cannot go into Cyrodiil, and they could also conquer. I forgot the name of the town, but it's the town in the northern part of Cyrodiil, and it has a majority Nord population because they're right on board Skyrim. Is it Breville? No, it's not Breville. It's a different town. It's not Kvatch. Oh, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna look it up, but yeah. But the Stormcloaks go further, and they could go take that town and say, "Oh yeah, this is now Skyrim as well," because majority population here are Nords now. Or they go further and just go keep conquering. And by the way, I'm pretty sure many secret Talos worshippers in Cyrodiil, like they could also join in the fight too, and boom, all of a sudden you have a Stormcloak empire. And so yes, so all you Imperial fanboys and fangirls, you can still have your empire, but you know, an empire that kind of goes back to Talos worship, that goes back to honoring Talos, the founder of the empire. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting calling the Stormcloaks rebels, when in reality, they're not the ones banning Talos worship. They're the ones following the original Imperial laws, where Talos worship is allowed, and they're also acknowledging the theology that Talos is divine. So they're still fighting for the faith and for the legal system. The Imperials are fighting against the old legal system, and they're fighting against the original theology. So what are the Imperials trying to preserve? They're trying to erase, not preserve anything. Yes. So yes, the Imperials, they are the lapdogs of the Thalmor. I don't know how else I can get it through your thick skulls, you pro-Imperials. Oh my beer got warm too, because I'm so So passionate about this topic. So I kind of wish that like, the pro-Imperials stop projecting their leftist world narrative onto Skyrim and not just play it the way it is. But unfortunately, they kind of have this more racism, man. And when you debunk them on the more racism parts, they just kind of go into this weird uh, uh, a tirade about, oh yeah, well, like the Empire is strong and Skyrim by itself is weak. Really? Like read the lore. Read the lore of the Elder Scrolls. Like Skyrim is pretty strong actually. Skyrim's actually the Nords are very capable of just conquering Cyrodiil by themselves if they have to. On top of that, like a Skyrim victory can inspire High Rock to rebel against the Imperial Legion over there, and who knows, High Rock could decide to unite with Skyrim. Like, you guys think about that? Also, it's highly possible that even if there is no Stormcloak Empire, it's highly possible that the Red Guards could have a strong alliance with the Nords. Why not? Because they both hate the elves. Red Guards hate elves more than Nords do. But the Red Guards, who are basically the black people of the game, they're more racist than the Nords are. Like literally, Red Guards literally, like, if they see like a high elf, they'll probably like they'll kill them on the spot. The Imperial, like the British, being the lapdogs of the Ooh, yeah. 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 But basically, no. Okay. Let's see. It's about Protestants. Yeah. Yes. So, anyways, where was it going with this? So the Imperials, yeah, the Imperials are basically just following the orders of the well, not directly following orders, but they're following the demands that are signed in the treaty. So, and the treaty says it could be our lapdogs, basically. Like, because so I brought up a real world situation, like where the Chinese are the ones dictating the terms of the treaty, right? Now imagine if the Chinese had a military base inside the U.S. as well, right? And imagine like they're arresting U.S. citizens and putting them in prison in that base. Like, imagine that instead of taking U.S. violators to the local sheriff, they're being taken to the Chinese military base. That'll be outrageous. You don't think the U.S. citizens will not be outraged over this? You don't think there won't be a civil war to restore, America, after this? No, like there would be, right? So, same thing applies in this video game. It kind of makes sense why the Imperials, why the Stormcloaks would rebel. It's not just about Talos worship; it's also about who's enforcing this worship, and why is it the foreigners are the ones doing this, right? So the White Gold Concordat, basically, the White Gold Concordat and its enforcement literally is what proves that the Empire are nothing but lapdogs. But you could go on all day, all you pro-Imperial players, you could go on all day trying to explain to me, trying to prove to me that Ulfric is an asset, agent, dossier, because it reminds you of the Steel dossier. Yeah, like it's kind of like oh yeah, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the dossier a little more, because I noticed that like when people read the Bible, they read the part about do not judge, right? And all the smart people respond by saying, well, you're supposed to like not judge people, like basically you're not supposed to be committing the same sins and judging people by who are committing the same sins you do, right? So if you're a thief, right, you're not supposed to be judging other thieves because you're a thief yourself, right? And like and plus when it says do not judge, right, like you should read what does it say before that, and then you should read what it says after that, and you should read the whole context, right? So it's not just that one line in the Bible, do not judge, right? Smart people tell you, well, you're supposed to kind of read the whole context, right? And so therefore with the Dalmor dossier that they have on Ulfric, right, like you have to kind of read the context. You should read deeper. And earlier in the conversation in the stream, I already mentioned that it says assets, then it explains how like continue funding the Stormcloaks, and it literally implies that it's all done through third parties, right? So there is no direct connection at all. Ulfric himself does not even know about this. There might be some other military personnel who might kind of like be knowing where the weapons are coming from, and not necessarily knowing this. They might know that there's some third party giving them weapons at a cheap price, but then this third party is connected to another third party, and that other third party is the one that's actually a Dalmor spy network, right? Or not spy network, but more like a smuggling network. These are smugglers, right? So you could have smugglers working directly for the Dalmor, handing over weapons to third party. This third party then, for cheap prices, supplies weapons to the Stormcloaks, right? And Stormcloaks thinking, oh wow, we're getting weapons from these guys, right? And so like the dossier literally says, assets, and then it kind of implies that like the Stormcloaks needs to be supported. But then it clearly says, like after it says it needs to be supported, it says that the war should not have any victory. They don't want Stormcloak victory. Like they don't want any victory for either side. Because an immediate Imperial victory will like basically the Empire could stop focusing on Skyrim and not worry about High Rock, because they'll have all the trade and their goods continuing going in and out by land, and they'll prove to High Rock that they're pretty strong, that they can still maintain an empire. And so the rebellion was just a fluke, right? Like it was a temporary fluke, and they dealt with it. But yeah. Is there anything else that can prove that the Imperials, but basically, it's just like these folks reading the Bible, like who read the Bible out of context, do not judge. Oh yeah, therefore do not judge. But they fail to read everything that's before and after that. Same thing with these dossier folks. Dalmor dossier, it says asset. Okay, read the rest of the dossier, you doofus. Like the pro-imperial side does not use any of this logic. And like, because earlier I already explained that the Dalmor have a military base, that the Aldmeri Dominion, the High Elf Empire, they have their own military base inside Imperial territory during a civil war, by the way, right? And and by the way, that military base is totally a good hub for a spy network. And the Imperials, they know Northwatch is there. General Tullius knows about it, right? So the average Protestant reading the Bible, well, not just the average Protestant, even like the average, like, I don't know, like the average agnostic atheist who basically wants to dictate to Christians what they should believe, right? Well, it says to judge your, therefore your religion's invalid, which makes no sense. But yeah, but these people basically, they do the same thing. regarding this dossier. Well, it's kind of like in real life too. Like you have people who vote left. They think the Steele dossier means anything, right? Like basically, like there's no evidence for anything that's being claimed there. Like there's no evidence presented. It's simply a right. And like imagine like I write a report. Like I'll write a report about somebody, and I present it as evidence. That's not evidence of anything. Like who am I to just kind of like write a report and say this is fact, right? If I write a report on somebody, I'm supposed to kind of back it up by evidence, right? I'm supposed to provide photographs, receipts, financial transactions. I'm supposed to kind of provide fingerprints, whatever I could find, right? If I'm writing a serious dossier, a legitimate dossier on something and somebody, I will have to provide as much evidence to back up my report. A report making a claim is simply a report making a claim. So that's how the Steele dossier was presented. It's just a report making claims without any evidence. But the media has been telling us to accept this information at face value. And so the pro-imperial video game players, they read the dossier, the Dalmor dossier, they take it at face value, and they don't read they don't read into the rest of it and not come to the conclusion that the Dalmor don't want a swift Stormcloak victory because they don't get they don't gain anything. The Imperials can simply just stop focusing on Skyrim after that. The Imperials might not like losing Skyrim, but at the same time, it's kind of also less of a burden on their shoulders. They can just focus more on their southern border. So that's why an immediate Stormcloak victory is not convenient, and neither is an immediate Imperial victory. But at the same time, an Imperial victory is not convenient for the people in the long run because. And plus, it's not convenient for the secret Talos worshippers who might start their own rebellion again, because they'll eventually kind of realize, okay, how long can I hold this? How long can I hide this, right? Because eventually, the secret Talos worshippers, they'll start being eradicated within the ranks, or there might not be any rebellion. The secret Talos worshippers could all just face execution. So, Legate Rika, by the way, Legate Rika, when she says Talos Kaiju, General Tullius asked her, "What did you say? You said something, right?" And she goes, "Oh, nothing. Nothing. I didn't say anything." I'm pretty sure General Tullius probably could have been I heard, in his mind, he's like, "I know what you said. I'm not gonna worry about this at the moment, but I'll keep that in mind, and I'll probably put that in my report, in my journal, and maybe a month later, 2 months later, you'll be arrested, Legate Rika. But for now, let's just all enjoy the moment." I'm pretty sure General Tullius basically heard what Legate Rika said, but yeah. And the reason why I say a month or two is because if Tamriel, the continent, was an actual continent, it might take several months, to get up to Solitude and and arrest Rika. But yeah, or the orders to arrest Rika by the time they get back to Solitude, right? Yeah, because Tullius might send a messenger to Cyrodiil requesting that to arrest Rika, his second command, or something, or maybe explaining why he has to arrest her, and then he arrests her later. But whatever. But yes, if you're a pro-Imperial player, you should not worry about Talos at all. You should not even be concerned about the Stormcloaks destroying the legacy of Talos' memory, because for one, they're not. But why should you care if you're pro-Imperial? Now, this one pro-Imperial, what I liked about him is that he was honest, right? Like, and his whole argument for joining the Imperials, for fighting for the Imperials, is because and it had nothing to do with the whole more racist than me. No, his whole argument was that he completely, like, by reading the game lore, by, because he probably follows the Arcturian heresy, um, where basically Talos was a false god, right? But and Hjalti, he's a usurper. He's not really Tiber Seven. He's his real name, right? Something like that. So there's that heresy right there. But this Imperial player, he told me it had nothing to do with the whole moral racism thing. Well, like, his whole thing is that he believed in fighting for the Empire because he completely rejected Talos as a divine. He rejected Talos. So based on him reading up on the Elder Scrolls lore and stories, he said that, like, yeah, that's why he's fighting for the Empire. He his reasoning was probably the only legitimate pro imperial reasoning that I've ever heard from any other pro imperial. Because everyone always does the whole more racism argument, and it's just stupid. And it's kind of hard to argue on Facebook or other social media platforms with such people, because you could write all day, you could write 20 paragraphs, and they're not going to read that. But the best you can do is write like 3 sentences, and then you're just done, because it's not worth spending the rest of your day in reality, right, discussing a video game on Facebook, right? Because plus other people you want to respond to on Facebook, so, like, you're not going to respond to everybody. So but this player, this one Imperial player, has given me one legitimate reason. He goes, he denies Talos is divine, and so he believes that Talos worship should be eradicated. He believes that Talos should not be worshipped. And so I'm like, finally, a pro Imperial player who has a legitimate. Well, I mean, I think based on the lore, it's not a legitimate argument, but I'm saying it's more legitimate than any other arguments, because at least he's being honest. He's not going with the whole, the Stormcloaks can't defend themselves, and plus they're racist, right? No, it's more like, yeah, you know what? Like, I just reject Talos. Screw Talos, right? Screw Tiber Septim, right? That's his whole argument. Like, argument has more legitimacy than the whole racism. Like, unfortunately, I have not really seen any logical pro Imperial players on Facebook. On Facebook, the pro Imperials always outnumber the Stormcloak players, right? And so the pro Imperials, they think that they have logical arguments, because all they do is simply constantly repeat the same arguments over and over again, and they think that's what makes them logical, right? Like, they cannot explain to me why, like they'll tell me why the Empire is strong, and that the Empire is only strong to rebels start rebelling, and, like a strong empire could defend against the Thalmor, against the elves. Yeah, it's that theory is always debunked, because the Red Guards, without any assistance, were able to do this. So therefore, how else would you explain it? It's totally illogical to just say that like, without the Empire, all their provinces will just die and be slaves from the Old Mary Dominion. Like, basically, like, if you read the lore, right, the Old Mary Dominion, they suck in military strategy. They suck at fighting, because if they're good, they would have actually defeated the Empire a long time ago. But on top of that, why shouldn't the Empire go? Right? Like, why can't there be a new Empire? Like, why can't the Stormcloaks just replace the current Empire? The Stormcloaks could literally just make a deal with the Red Guards, saying, hey guys, let's kind of do a new empire or something, right? Kind of go back to the old ways. Because the Red Guards originally had no problem being subjects of the Empire. They're loyal. The Red Guards were loyal. Hammerfell was loyal. They were extremely PO'd when the Emperor. By the way, one of the concessions, one of the terms of the treaty was not just the banning of Talos worship. A lot of people forgets that originally the elves wanted the southern half of Hammerfell to belong to them. That's one of the reasons why the war with the elves started. And then when the Thalmor were being defeated, they're being defeated on all fronts. They're being defeated in Hammerfell as well. And in Hammerfell, combined forces of the Legion forces and the local Red Guard forces, they were defeating the elves right there. And so the elves were losing in Hammerfell pretty bad. And so the Emperor, so the elves, when they sued for peace, not only was Talos worship part of the deal where it had to get banned, but another demand from that treaty was this. The treaty was that that the Empire would voluntarily hand over the southern half of Hammerfell to the Thalmor. Right? The Emperor agreed to this. So not only did he already ban Talos worship, he also agreed to give southern Hammerfell to the Thalmor. Now this deeply offended the Red Guards because they're thinking, wait a minute, we were fighting for this. We're fighting. We're fighting against the Thalmor, spilling our own blood here. And not just our own blood, but Imperial blood. And the Legion that was in Hammerfell was also fighting to preserve Hammerfell, right? To make sure that the Thalmor don't keep it. And they basically were already pushing back the Thalmor. They're pushing them back out of Hammerfell. And then the Emperor just kind of says, "Oh, all your sacrifices were for nothing." He says, "Your sacrifices," like he did not directly say that, but by signing that agreement, by signing the White Gold Concordat, so you already are angering a huge demographic of Talos worshippers. By the way, Talos worshippers are not limited to Skyrim. And I mentioned earlier, there are Talos worshippers in Cyrodiil. There's Talos worshippers in High Rock. Talos worshippers in Hammerfell as well, right? So you're already banning a major religion, a major portion of a religion, right? And then you're also giving away a huge piece of territory. Why? You were winning. Why were you basically following the demands of the losing side? And so basically, like if you read the lore, the Red Guards, they get highly offended. So they start a rebellion. Like they started basically a rebellion to it's not like, it's kind of interesting. Like it was not like a rebellion against the Empire. They simply disobeyed. They disobeyed the Emperor. They did not submit to the southern half of Hammerfell. Did not submit. They're saying no, we're not submitting. We don't care, Emperor, what you say, right? And the Emperor was like, "Oh no, I don't want any trouble with the elves." So the Emperor even said, called back the Legion that was in northern Hammerfell. He basically said, "Yeah, Hammerfell in general, yeah, whatever. Like you guys are on your own." Think about this. How can the Empire be strong in the first place? How can you say that the Empire is strong in the first place when the Empire literally, instead of trying to protect the citizens of Hammerfell, right? So we're not even talking about Skyrim anymore. We're talking about Hammerfell right now, totally different province, right? And so they disobeyed the Emperor when they said no, Emperor. And when I say they disobeyed, I'm talking about the southern half of Hammerfell. The people living in that southern portion are thinking, "Oh no, Emperor! We're not giving in." And So the emperor says, you know what? Like, fine. Like, even Northern Hammerfell, I don't need it. I don't even need Northern Hammerfell. I'm just leaving this, right? So the Red Guards, the people of Hammerfell, were left to fend on their own. They were abandoned by the Empire. And like, it made no sense because logically you had a strong force, combined force of local Red Guard military with Imperial Legion forces. Some of those legionnaires themselves were Red Guards from Hammerfell, right? Oh, and so this also just proves that the Empire are a bunch of lapdogs for the Thalmor. So not only did they just ban Talos worship, they just straight up abandoned their own citizens. They abandoned their own citizens. So earlier, 2 hours ago, I complained about the Empire allowing these foreigners arresting their own citizens, torturing them in deep dark chambers, like and on top of that, you also have the Emperor giving away, like, first give away half a province, and then the other half province rebels. He leaves that province as whatever, you guys are on your own, right? Some strong empire, right? Some strong independent empire, totally not lapdogs to the Thalmor. Give me a break. Come on, get out of here. Yeah, I don't know how long I could go on. It's already been 2 hours. So yeah, so yes, it's not just Talos worship; it's also just abandoning citizens, and so no wonder actually, like, it just kind of makes even more sense when you think about it. Like, no wonder it's okay for the Dalmor to arrest citizens, not just in Skyrim, in Cyrodiil and High Rock as well. You don't think there aren't Dalmor justiciars walking around High Rock? No, they are, because High Rock is still part of the Empire. So, like, yeah, like, it's just that, yes, Nords particularly are they have a bigger affinity for Talos because they believe Talos was a Nord. But yeah, and like the whole argument, oh, he's actually a Breton. That's a dumb argument. No, he's a Nord. Um, but yeah, yeah. So the Empire truly, indeed, just lapdogs. Like, I don't understand how, like, someone who follows the lore or just follows or plays the game. Sorry, I'm really losing my mind here because it's like it's 12:20 here, but like I'm supposed to be going to bed because I gotta get up early tomorrow. But yeah, but I'm also enjoying, just ranting about the Empire and Skyrim and how the pro-imperial side kind of makes no sense. What's funny is that, like, I was on Facebook and this one person was anonymous. They did not want to be known, but they said, "Oh, like, can someone give me a legitimate intellectual argument as to why the the Stormcloaks are good?" Because, and then somewhere in the comments, he kind of implied that, like there's no intellectual arguments. Then, of course, because in every group, in almost every Skyrim group, majority of the members are pro-imperial, so they just kind of stormed in, and like they kind of made like the pro Stormcloak players, like, they kind of try to make us sound like we're like a bunch of uneducated rednecks who like like can't argue about anything. It's like, no, just that kind of gets tiresome repeating the same thing over again. Uh, like, well, not just like repeating the same thing over again, like debunking the same thing over again. Like, and so, like, therefore, true intellectual people, like, they don't spend too much time, explaining to dumb people, why they're wrong, right? Like, and here, actually, I'm probably pretty dumb myself. I'm here for 2 hours making a live stream about Talos, or about the Imperials, but yeah. Uh, yeah, like, I'm not sure how much what else needs to be said. So Talos worship bans, giving up territories while claiming to be strong. But yeah, like and what's funny is the irony is that like despite the fact that the Empire has abandoned Hammerfell, they still independently were able to defeat the Thalmor. They did not allow the Thalmor to take over southern Hammerfell. They just said, no, you're not taking any part of Hammerfell. You're out. Yeah, and so an independent Skyrim could definitely renegotiate with the with the Red Guards, because the Red Guards, they were not anti-Empire. They're not anti-Emperor. They became anti-Emperor because the Emperor abandoned them. It's like, okay, wait a minute, Emperor. We died for you. Like we died for your empire, right? And also for Hammerfell at the same time. But we're fighting for this united empire, and then you just give us away. What's the point of all the fighting? I don't know. Let's bring it back to the real world. Okay, like hypothetical scenario in Minecraft, China invades. I don't know, like the western portion of California, right? And then like the Chinese are basically defeated everywhere, and the Chinese are basically being driven out of California, right? Like they're being driven to the seacoast. They're about to lose the war, but then they sue for peace, and they also demand that they demand that Western California be returned to them, right? And so, and then the Californians being outraged say, no, we don't want this. But so Californians from Eastern California and Western California would be like, what's going on here? Like, we don't support this. And then our government says, whatever, fine. We just, like we don't want you at all, right? Well, like, it's like how can you be on the winning side and then like kind of submits to the demands of the losing side? It just makes no sense at all. See if I got some messages. Right, I got a link reaction on my post. Yeah, that was 24 minutes ago. Okay. Okay, so what else is going on here? What else could I bring up? I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't want to beat that horse too. But I wonder, like, if this is convincing. I hope it was. And you know what? I kind of like this live stream format because I kind of notice a lot of YouTubers, more and more YouTubers are just doing a live stream instead of kind of spending time editing, which I could do as well, but it's also time consuming when you just rant about something. Just paint Warhammer minis while you rant. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're more of a Warhammer fan, probably. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I like this format, so I think I'll probably do more live streams eventually. And so, yeah, but I kind of noticed that if I do a live stream, people will watch it later. Like I'll look at the views and like, oh, there's actual views, so people have seen it, but just at a different time. Yeah, yeah. So I really want to be the dead horse. Just trying to figure out what else would prove that the Imperials are lapdogs. That's pretty much it, basically. I mean, like one more proof that you need. Like my first 37 minutes is where I actually had like the main proofs right there, right? Like the and it was all regarding Skyrim. It was all like limited to the game of Skyrim. My first like 37 minutes of ranting, and then like Warhammer is one of my hobbies. I played Black Templar, Space Marines. Ooh, based. Good job. Obvious reasons. Yeah, I like the Black Templars. By the way, the Black Templars, they're also going against the Codex Astartes because you're not supposed to have like more than 1,000 Space Marines in a chapter. But like this one there's a fan theory out there that the Black Templars are probably in the hundreds of thousands. Like they're probably back at like Legion strength, the when the Imperial Fists existed. Like, and yeah, what's interesting is that the Imperial Fists, like the OG Imperial Fists, they kind of said, okay, fine, we'll keep it at 1,000, but with the Black Templars, who are also Templar Fists, who are Imperial Fists at one point, simply just kind of go, we'll just keep recruiting and recruiting and recruiting and recruiting, and we won't stop. So we're not going to stop at 1,000 because this one fan theorized that like basically like you read this book, they're over here. You read this book over there, and like they're constantly everywhere all the time, almost the Black Templars, and plus like they're everywhere with large numbers and like yeah, and like based on how like the travel works in Warhammer 40K, it just yeah. Give me 1 second. Got a response to this message right here. All right. Yeah, like yeah, the way travel works in Warhammer 40K, it's like it might take you like 50 years to get to the other side of the galaxy, or could take you like 50 days, right? Okay, sorry, responding to someone. The Black Templars are estimated to be around 6,000, 60,000. Wait, 6 to 16,000. Well, from what I heard it's like up to like at least 100,000, but secretly. But because the galaxy is so scattered, they scatter themselves everywhere, and who has the time to actually count the numbers in 40K? All right. Yeah, talk to just sending a text messages to someone. All right. So small. Okay. Before Dark Imperium, they were around 6,000 Marines. Then post Dark Imperium, they had an influx of 10,000 more Primaris Marines, which might bump it up to 16,000 Marines at the high end. So small legion size. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So sorry about that. I had to respond to someone. Yeah. So what else would actually like? I'm trying to figure out like what else playing. Like how else can I get through to the thick skulls of the Pro Imperials? Because like there's like no other explanation. There's no other explanation needed. The Imperials are nothing but lapdogs of the Thalmor. So um, but yeah, because they have to revert to the old argument then. Oh, more racism. That's it. Like that's the only major argument they have is more racism. More racism, man. Like the there's so many Dark Hills and Windhelm. Oh, so bad because some NPCs are a bunch of a-holes. Wow. Imagine like judging an entire nation based on the actions of a few, right? It's kind of called racism, by the way. And yeah, 100,000 Marines would have been larger than pre-heresy Imperial Fifth Legion. Yeah, I believe Robo Dorn's not Robo Dorn, Rabute Gilliman's Ultramarines. I think they're the largest. I think they had they had like what 150. Like, oh no! I think Robo Dorn had like at least 200,000, probably something like that. I could be wrong. But yeah, Rabute Gilliman and Ultramarines, they're the biggest legion. They're the biggest legion to exist in the pre-heresy / heresy era. By the way, that's why the heresy guys were kind of a little worried about Rabute Gilliman because like numbers don't always mean everything, but in this situation, numbers meant a lot, especially when you have especially if you have more than 100,000 Space Marines, and it's not just 100,000 Space Marines. You have an entire fleets of other human battleships. You have like uh, Imperial Guardsmen, large millions and millions of Imperial Guardsmen, right? And yeah, so it's not just that. So it's not just the 100,000 Space Marines. It's like imagine how many millions of regular soldiers you have to fight too. Like Dorn had about 80,000. Okay, yeah. But yeah, going back to Skyrim, okay, Gilliman had. Okay, yeah, so I was right. So like over 200,000, yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people forget that it's not just Space Marines going to battle. So even like when you have, let's say you have like 300 Space Marines with you, right? Those 300 Space Marines are backed up by an entire fleet too. Like, and that fleet have millions of human soldiers there. And so imagine how big the fleets were during the pre-heresy era when you had large legions, right? And you have millions and millions of human soldiers with them. And not just soldiers, you have fighter pilots in outer space. The Water Bearers were the only comparable trader legion with 150,000 Chaos Marines. Water Bearers are cringe. Yes. So, yeah, it's been already 2 hours, 17 minutes. Yeah. I think I've already did enough explanation because I think it's kind of funny how like the Imperial side think they're so intellectual because apparently the Stormcloaks also kind of they project a lot of their real world ideology into a game that's supposed to kind of not be that, right? And so yeah, I remember back in 2012 before this major political divide that we had, I even remember like the argument was that oh, he's a racist, but here's the thing, it was like my racism, but no one accused a Stormcloak player of being racist. Like literally, like I remember I would tell people, yeah, I choose the Stormcloaks, and I'll say yeah, like I'll play as a Dark Elf, and I'll fight for the Stormcloaks. And actually, no, the first time I played as a Khajiit. I was playing as a Khajiit. And so I told my friends, yeah, they asked me, okay, what race are you? I said Khajiit, and then then I tell them I'm fighting for the Stormcloaks. And they're like, oh, that's contradictory. And this is 2012. This is before the politics got way crazy, before the whole wokeness crap. But basically, already back then, they would say, "Well, you're being contradictory. Ugh, like that makes no sense. Why are you fighting for Stormcloaks?" And I legitimately was like thinking, "What do you mean? Like, well, why can't I fight for Stormcloaks, right? Well, like they're racist." Already back then, in 2012, I was thinking, like, do you guys not play the game? Do you not pay attention? Yeah, and all based on that one one stupid interaction. Just imagine literally like judging an entire group of people because there's a handful of them that could be like like a bunch of dimwits, right? Like that's basically a form of racism right there. But again, Stormcloaks are not a nationality too. Like a lot of people forget that Stormcloaks are not a nationality. Stormcloaks, Stormcloaks, it's an ideology, right? Like the Stormcloaks were named after Oliver Stormcloak's last name, but still, it's an ideology, the Stormcloak ideology, but it's not a nationality. And so, like, I noticed a lot of the pro-imperial people would sometimes like say the Nords are racist. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Like, damn, if you say that the Nords are racist, you're not just talking about the Stormcloaks at this point. You're talking about the Nords. Therefore, the same thing literally applies to the people who live in Solitude, the people who live in Markarth, the people who live in Falkreath, Whiterun. Yeah, if the Nords are racist. So that literally just goes beyond Stormcloaks. That also applies to Legate Ricka. And by the way, Legate Ricka could still be racist herself. So it's like how they think most right wingers, which is true if they play Imperium. Yeah, sitting with Warhammer 40K, right? Like people who choose to support the Empire are kind of more like I guess they could be more conservative in a way, but some people Imperium regardless of politics, because like I know some leftists love the Empire because whatever reason, because at the end of the day it's like just logical to stick with humanity, right? Why would you join chaos, right? Of course, the completely degenerate ones would always choose Tau. So, because the Tau or Tau cringe. Tau Empire is cringe. Now I do like what I like about the Tau. I do like to look at them as some kind of like relief. Like they basically the Tau Empire, the way designed, like the artwork, the way they're displayed, like they kind of look like some kind of true, I guess like a sci-fi. Like they kind of have this like sci-fi feel, like where everything's clean, everything's beautiful, everything's very nice. Like and like yeah, there's some sort of breath of fresh air when like I'd read about the Tau or just look at their artwork, just kind of okay. Yeah, the Warhammer universe isn't so grim and dark, but at the same time, they're pretty cringe. True leftists play Slanesh, yes. Honestly, yeah. Like if you like deliberately play for Slanesh, you are most likely voting for basically any Democrat politician. Yeah, like you're not even a Bernie bro, because a Bernie bro will at least probably fight for the Tau, but not for Slanesh. But yeah, so um, I'm probably going to get off soon. Um, yeah, like so legally speaking, like legally from a legal imperial perspective, like the empire just like neglects their own citizens. Like there's a thing called laws, right? There's rules. These rules, these laws, these regulations, they're not being followed by the Empire who's supposed to enforce them. So, like, the Empire does not follow their laws, which they're supposed to enforce per treaty that they signed, and they don't really stand up for their citizens. They don't tell the Thalmor, "Hey, Thalmor, let's do this," right? Like, like, arrest them if you want. Arrest them. That's part of the contract, I guess. But hand them over to us. Don't take them to your secret torture chambers. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. And like I said multiple times, many times throughout the stream, like if you play the game, there's no logical way you could be pro-imperial. There isn't. Like just like my advice for the pro-imperial players is to kind of just throw away that modern projectionism out of their heads and just kind of play the game from a different angle, right? And just realize, wait a minute, okay, the Stormcloaks are not racist. Okay, so therefore you can still play as Stormcloak. And you're fighting imperialism. You know, like that's excuse me. And you're fighting imperialism. Like what's wrong with that, right? And you're fighting for the right of a nation to follow their own religion properly, right? And you're fighting for the independence of a nation too, right? It's like basically leftists will cheer on, anyone who fights against Rome, anyone who fights against the British Empire, anyone who fights against the Russian Empire. Like leftists would always cheer that on, right? But when they play a video game where there's an actual empire that needs to be resisted, like, oh no, this empire is good, right? This imperialism is good. It's kind of like I'll not go into it now. I'm not gonna mention that. But basically, yeah. But this empire is good because it's not racist. Well, that's BS. But yeah, I think it's kind of funny. They say the empire is not racist, but they also believe all the Nords are racist, which many of them are serving the empire. They're also politicians. Many of them are jarls, right? And these are jarls have advisors who probably hate the elves too, right? So yeah, but my main point was the fact that the empire neglects their own citizens and they're lapdogs of the Thalmor. I don't know how much further I have to go. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna have to go now. It's already 2 hours and 27 minutes. I'd say that's enough. And if you guys think there are more reasons, you guys could, like, to those of you who did not do the live stream, to all of you who will watch later post live stream, comments. So also just put your ideas in the comment section and explain why the Empire are the lapdogs of the Thalmor. And if you disagree, fine, put your answer, but your arguments will be easily debunked because every pro-imperial argument is easily debunked. So yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Good night. Well, and God bless.